located in my government offices in the executive department if they felt that it would redound to the benefit of the country, of my constituents. Also, I pleaded, I appealed that if they saw any omission or any error in my ways, just to point it out in a spirit of constructive criticism, because I was perfectly willing to amend my procedures and policies since I was clearly a novice. Ngayon, napansin ko na itong mga politiko, ayaw sila makinig sa rason. Na meron sila sarili-sarili silang ambisyon sa buhay nila, none of which has any necessary relation to the public interest. Kaya, sa tingin ko, nangangamba sila na baka pumasok ako sa politika. So I told them, read my lips. I have no plans for 1992 because I've never been a politician. How can I even entertain that ambition? It's totally unrealistic. That's a separate reality. I told them my only ambitions for 1992 are to defy the laws of medical science and to represent my country, the Philippines, in the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games. If possible, in the fields of boxing or wrestling. Hindi sila nagpaawa. Talagang inintriga nila ako. So the result is that now I feel challenged as a UP graduate because, you know, we are so competitive in this campus. If they had only left me alone, I would be perfectly happy to return to the United Nations in Geneva, where I came from in the first place. I would have crawled back into that hole and been cozily happy and warm there for the rest of my adult life. Now, because, you know, I started in the DAR in July, and I got kicked out in December. So I had only a 6-month period. Notwithstanding that I already said I accept this post only out of deference to my president because I feel that all citizens must support the president, whoever she might be. And notwithstanding my further announcement that I do not intend to stay long in this post, I see my mission simply as to help DAR employees recover from the debacle that was the Garchitorena and allied scandals, because now they're totally demoralized, and the further mission of persuading our friends abroad that it can still be a viable function to contribute to the Philippine Assistance Program, some money of which goes to the CARP, to the Agrarian Reform Program. Do you remember that during the Garchitorena scandal, there was a pledging session of the PAP in Tokyo, Japan, and the donor countries deliberately sought a suspension of the proceedings because, you know, in clear terms, they thought if we're going to give money to this developing country, but it's only going to corruption, we may as well keep the money for ourselves. So it was vital that the new Secretary of Agrarian Reform should have sufficient credibility to convince the donor countries that the Agrarian Reform Program was still viable at that point, when it was so badly, it was in fact mortally wounded by the Garchitorena scandal. So that's the only reason I accepted the post. And that's why I announced, I see my mission as simple. I am not a long-term administrator. That is for my successor to undertake. My mission is simply to lift the morale both of the DAR employees and the Filipino public, and to persuade by hard achievements the donor countries to the CARP that it is still worth contributing to. And so I announced for myself a time frame of a year. If the president insisted, at most 2 years. Now, I started office in July last year. It's now the end of July. So if they had only given me 6 more months, they could very well have gotten rid of me, but they didn't. That's what aggravates me as a UP law graduate. I think that the gauntlet has been thrown. You know, they humiliated me. You were not present during my confirmation hearings. I'll talk about it if I have the time at the College of Law. You don't understand what I had to go through. They chopped me into 1,000 pieces. They gorged themselves on my flesh. They were not interested in examining my credentials. I'm very proud of my credentials for the sole and simple reason that I worked myself to death in UP campus because the academic standards here are so high. I am not being charged with conceit or arrogance. But I never declaim about my achievements. These are normally included in the resume that we give away when requested by civic organizations. Now they claim that I am altogether too conceited and arrogant because of my academic record here in UP. But Shouldn't any student be happy that he's admitted to a tax-funded university, and furthermore that he got good grades? Isn't that a cause for self-pride without necessarily boasting about it? Well, in any event, do you know that these allegedly august and honorable ladies and gentlemen of the Commission on Appointments never for 1 minute examined my resume, never for 1 minute gave me credit for even having gained entry to UP, an academic institution to which they will certainly never be admitted all their adult lives and in their next 10 reincarnations. That I disciplined for graft and corruption in CID, and they gave total credence to all of these scenarios of lies and falsehoods. And they never gave me a chance to rebut. Dahil alam mo, wala silang fixed rules of court or fixed rules of procedure. Now, in court, you know that you can be patient listening to your accuser because you know that under our legal system, you will certainly have your take in court. So, when the prosecution is presenting evidence, the defense can afford to keep calm and collected because he knows he will have his own opportunity. That is part of the schematic order of things in the judicial universe. But sila sa Commission on Appointments are totally arbitrary. So they gave my disciplined employees, people that I had charged with graft and corruption or taken disciplinary action against them. They gave them full hearing, the full run of the Commission on Appointments, and they never gave me an opportunity to say a word. Whenever my lawyer raised his hand, he was always told to shut up. So we were just stonewalled. It was totally unfair. At maliban yan, nakakahiya yung mga sinasabi nila. Unang-una, sinabi nila, dahil napakahaba daw ng biodata ko, it indicated that insanity runs in my family. So I told it, and tinanong pa ako, have you ever been confined a mental institution? So I told the truth, I said, no, never. And yet, gusto nila isabihin nila nanay ko from Iloilo City. Nang puti na ko, hindi nakikialam sa aming ginagawa sa gobyerno, kailanman, masiminsan. Gusto daw nila isabihin para just to prove that there might be a biological or genetic defect. Anong klase yun? It was just totally unreasonable. It was something straight out of Franz Kafka. It was a nightmare. Ganun pa man. Tiniis ko yun. Just so that I could undertake this mission that the President assigned to me without my application and even without my approval. She gave me a mission, so I said, if it becomes necessary that I should go through this, then I will for the sake of the public service. Ganun pa man, hindi rin ako na-confirm. Tapos maliban sa hindi ako kinonfirm, pinasali pa ako sa cabinet revamp. Nung nagre-resign ako, bakit hindi nila tanggapin ang resignation ko since I was sincerely offering it out of disgust, frustration, and nausea? So I was totally revolted at the political system. Nagre-resign na lang ako para wala na kaming gulo. They can get rid of me like a computer virus. Bakit ayaw nila? Pagkatapos, biglain nila akong isali doon sa cabinet revamp. Nakakahiyang masali sa cabinet revamp. No amount of explanation can erase the doubt that immediately jumps into the public mind if you are part of a revamp, isn't that? So, UP pa naman din ako. What will I say to my UP students since I'm a professor in the law school? And I'm always proud to occupy this position, this platform of ethical propriety that all UP professors in general are intended to speak from when they're lecturing to their students. So, in other words, I feel challenged by the humiliating, in fact, of cruel process to which I have been subjected. So, it might be an act of masochism to enter politics, but if that is what it takes to prove the point that the Filipino people cannot be forever oppressed by traditional politics, that we are capable of effecting a turnaround in this culture of corruption, if it takes that, then I will do it. I don't really care what happens to me. What it takes to win, because what's the purpose of running if you can't win? The purpose of my run is that I want to change the rules of the game. But before I can do that, I must join the game first. So let's see what the rules of the game are at present. The playing field is not level. Why? One, you need public support. I think that's what the public polls show, that I have at least some public support to start with. Two, I need funds. That's what I don't have. Three, I need a machinery. That's what I don't have either. So right now what we're investigating is whether I can raise the funds and join the party to make victory possible, because there's no point pursuing victory if it is totally out of grasp, if it's just a sheer impossibility. So